Hello. So today I would like to present my uh, final report for the pattern recognition course that is toxic comment classification. So let's talk about the motivation behind this project. Freedom of speech is a basic principle that allows an individual to express his or her ideas or opinions freely without any kind of fear, censorship, or restraint. However, this basic principle can be misused by some people when they express something in an abusive way, which is inappropriate and may offend other people participating in that communication. In today's world, we are more connected than ever through the medium of social media, and social media has become one of the most efficient way for people to communicate and discuss. People can share their ideas, their feelings, their opinions, the events happening in their life, as well as react to the comments posted by other people. Considering all these advantages, social media may seem like a paragon for communication, but it's a double-edged sword, as it can be easily abused by toxic comments from some users. This kind of abusive comments or harassment may make other users leave the conversation and may also prohibit them from participating in future conversations. This makes it an important requirement for any platform to have a system in place in order to moderate such behaviors. So, while some organizations have traditional moderators in place to identify this type of comments and take appropriate actions, but that's not an most efficient way for solving this kind of problem because this this can be more efficiently done using a machine learning model that will do the job of identifying such comments as well as classifying them in different level of toxicity all autonomously. This is my motivation behind taking this project. Now let's talk about the dataset. So the dataset I have used for this project is from one of the Kaggle competitions, Kaggle Toxic Comment Classification Challenge. And so the dataset contains 8 columns, ID, comment text, and 6 toxicity labels as listed here. There's toxic, severe toxic, obscene, threat, insult, and identity hate. So the ID column depicts the ID of the user who has posted the comment. Comment text is simply a text of the comment, while 6 toxicity labels uh, determines whether that comment belongs to that label or not. It is given as 1 or 0. 0 means it doesn't. So if toxic column have 0 for certain comment, it means that that comment is not toxic. Well, if it is 1, it is toxic. As simple as that. A comment here may belong to more than one classes at the same time. For example, a comment can be toxic, severe toxic, and obscene at the same time, or it can simply be threat. So as the comment may belong to more than one classes, it is a multi-label classification problem. And to understand more that to understand more about the data, I've created several graphs that I'll show you. So let's say the frequency distribution graph. Yeah. So I've created this frequency distribution graph in order to understand uh, how many of the total comments is actually belongs to any of the toxic class. In total we have around 1.6 lakhs of comments, and from that only around 15 to 16,000 comments are marked in one of the labels. As we can see from this graph that around 16,000 comments are toxic and 8,000 comments are obscene and insult, while the count for the severe toxic threat and identity hate comments is pretty low. Next, I have created a graph for comment length distribution. From this graph, my goal is to identify whether we have comments having whether we have toxic comments varying in length, or we have you know certain length comments which are marked as toxic. So from this graph we got to know that uh, most of the comments marked as toxic are in the length from 0 to 500, while as we move to the longer lengths, the graph decays gradually. Uh, so so from this graph we can make a decision of removing all the comments having length more than 500. And to make this decision more firm, I have created another graph that that displays the comment length distribution by class. So this is that graph, and this graph also also behaves in a similar way as the above graph. Even though we have so irrespective of the comment class, the length of the comment and the and its and the comment being toxic are related. So these are some of the graphs that I have created for understanding the dataset more. Next, I have done some pre-processing on the dataset in order to improve the efficiency of our model as well as reduce the training time. So first, as we have discussed in the previous slide, I have removed all the comments having length more than 500, as it does not uh, affect our model much. Next step is to remove special characters, as special characters can mislead our model into predicting wrong output. So I have removed the special characters. I have removed stop words. Stop words are basically the words like a, and, the, us, you, I. So this kind of words doesn't add any value for our problem, as I have removed them. I have also added a single label, single alphabets to it. Like so, the basic stop words library contains a, but it doesn't contain single label alphabet. So I have added B to Z to it also. Next, I performed stemming. So stemming is basically process of transforming the inflected or derived words to the root form. So suppose you have a group of words, and by performing stemming you can reduce it to a single word. So for example, you have words like fishing, fished, fisher. So all of this can be reduced to a single word, fish. So this helps in achieving higher accuracy in the training process. Next, I performed lemmatizing on the dataset. So lemmatizing is a process of it is kind of similar to stemming, but it also considers the morphological analysis of the words, and because of that, it needs to have dictionaries for every language in order to provide that kind of analysis. Next, I perform count vectorizing. So count vectorizing is the process of creating a matrix of token words. It so as any model cannot be trained on the textual data, we have we need to have some way to convert it into numbers, and I have used count vectorizer for it. Now let's talk about the different solutions that I have implemented. So there are mainly two kind of approaches that I have taken in order to solve this problem. That is problem transformation methods and adaptation algorithms. So as you know, there are many algorithms developed for single label classification problem. Therefore, so problem transformation method is basically trying to transform our multi-label classification problem into a single label classification problem in order to take advantage of the existing single label algorithms. In this method, you take a multi-label classification problem, apply some transformation in order to convert it into a single label, and then use your single label algorithm, and then you just simply combine the results of all the single label classifications run on different labels to create the output for multi-label problem. Next is So I've also implemented adaptive algorithms. Adaptive algorithms also uses a single label algorithm uh, for multi-label classification problems, but it differs to the problem transformation method in a way that adaptive algorithms tries to adapt the single label classification algorithms, and so it does not transform your problem. uh, in fact, it tries to develop a multi-label algorithm using a single label algorithm for your multi-label classification problem, while in problem transformation method you just simply transform your problem so that you can utilize single label algorithm. So in problem transformation methods, I have implemented three methods. First is binary relevance. Binary relevance, it is one of the simplest type of transformation method, and it is very easier to implement. So here you simply create a separate classifier for each of the label you have, uh, and I'm sorry, each classifier simply predicts whether the comment belongs to that label or not. And then at the end, union of all classifiers predictions is taken as a multi-label output. So each label here is solved individually. Each label has its own classifier. And since we have 6 labels from toxic to identity hate, uh, there will be uh, uh, there will be uh, six classifiers for our problem. Next is classifier chain. So the disadvantage with binary relevance is that it doesn't takes the interdependence of different labels into the account, and that's why the output may be wrong, because for our data set the comments uh, can be can mostly be interdependent, because a comment which is severe toxic have high chances of being toxic as well. So that's why classifier change seems to be a very good solution for this problem. And in classifier chain, the a chain of classifiers is created where each classifier uses the predictions made by all the classifier up to itself. So classifier C3 uses the prediction of classifier up to C2. Classifier Cn uses the prediction made by classifier Cn minus 1. So this way the label correlations are considered. Next, we have implemented a label power set method. So in this method, we simply create first a power set of all the possible correlations between the label. So so if you have n classes, it will create 2 raised to n correlations, and for each combination, it so each combination here serves as as an input to the single label classifier. So this way the label power set method transforms our multi-label problem to a multi-class classification problem, and it is suitable for our data set since we have many correlations between among the different labels. But the time complexity of this algorithm is very high since it is exponential, and it takes much longer time to run as compared to the binary relevance and chain classifier chain. Next, let's talk about adaptive algorithms, in which I have implemented in which I have implemented multi-label lazy learning model known as MLKNN. So it is adapted multi-label version of k nearest neighbors, and it works very good for unseen instances, because for any unseen instance, it uses uh, the neighboring instances predictions, and then maximum a posteriori rule is applied to decide the label set for that unseen instance. Next, let's talk about the uh, backpropagation. I'm sorry. Let's talk about the backpropagation for multi-level learning neural network. So this is based on the traditional multi-layer feed-forward neural network, and the goal here is to optimize the pairwise ranking error. The hidden layer of the neural network here is fully connected